After hosting Christmas at my place, I went to check the safe. My backup cash, the emergency stash, was completely gone. When I asked, my dad didn't even hesitate. He said, "We gave it to your sister." Apparently, because she's starting a family. My hands went cold like I'd stepped into a freezer. That night, I called my lawyer. Didn't even wait till morning. By the next day, a few emails were sent. Some accounts got a closer look. That afternoon, my sister called me, already worked up. "What did you do?" she snapped. All I said was, "You might want to check your inbox." This Christmas was supposed to be low-key. I hosted for the first time, not to impress anyone, but because I figured maybe if I brought the warmth, they'd remember how to hold on to it. I cooked everything. I scrubbed the house clean top to bottom. Bought presents for all the nieces and nephews who barely even remember who I am. Dad sat at the head of the table like some wax figure in an old corduroy jacket. My sister drifted from corner to corner snapping pics for her stories. And my mom? She spent most of dinner whispering behind napkins, never once looking me in the eye or asking how I was holding up. Nobody said thank you. Not for the meal. Not for opening my home. Not for letting them crash for an extra couple nights when their plumbing suddenly went out. I smiled anyway, bit my tongue and let it slide. I thought maybe, just maybe, if I didn't make the day about me, they'd finally see me. But they didn't. It wasn't until everyone packed up and left, after I'd vacuumed the last of the pine needles and loaded the wine glasses into the dishwasher, that I went to check the safe. Not because I suspected anything, just habit. Something I do when the place gets quiet and the noise drains out. The combination clicked open, soft and familiar. The doors creaked open. Empty. The cash was gone. $14,000. It wasn't savings. It wasn't investments. That was emergency-only money. The kind you hold on to for the moment the world decides to forget you. And in that moment, it really had. I didn't yell. Didn't freak out. I just stood there staring into that hollow space like maybe it would explain itself. That's when my dad walked in like he owned the place, drying his hands on a towel. He said it plain as anything, "We gave it to your sister. She's starting a family." My hands went ice cold. No, we borrowed it. No, she really needed help. No heads up. No permission. They opened my safe. Took what I had set aside for emergencies. Handed it off to her. And didn't even bother telling me. I didn't argue. Didn't raise my voice. Just walked out to the hall, sat down on the bench near the coat rack, and pulled out my phone. One call. My lawyer picked up on the second ring. "Evening," he said. "Something wrong?" I told him everything. He went quiet for a second. Then he said, "I'll start the paper trail tonight." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Then I hung up. The next hour was a blur, just a fog of small, cold decisions. A few emails went out. Certain accounts were flagged and reviewed. Nothing loud. Nothing confrontational. Not yet. That afternoon, my sister rang again. Her voice cracked, all frantic and panicked, already close to tears. "What did you do?" she barked. I kept calm. Didn't even sigh. Just said, "You might want to check your inbox." Then I hung up. She sent another text. Then another. Then finally, "You're blowing this way out of proportion." Like money just magically appears. Like safes open themselves. I stayed in my chair. Coffee had gone cold beside me. Laptop screen glowing faintly, email threads growing longer by the minute. I wasn't answering yet. I was remembering. Not just this one theft, but all the others that came before it. This wasn't betrayal. It was confirmation, evidence of a pattern I couldn't ignore anymore. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it. The week before her wedding, I got hit with a $9,800 charge on my card. "You don't have a spouse or kids," she said. "Might as well make yourself useful." Her bridesmaids laughed like that was the funniest thing. She smirked. I forced a smile and said, "Then I hope you find me useless real soon." They treated that money like air. And when I cut off the cards and canceled everything, they painted me as petty and spiteful. I once paid the mortgage, just a one-time thing, a so-called bridge payment. A week later, I found out they'd bought new patio furniture. In 2021, I cleared her car loan. That same day, she posted a selfie with the caption, "Nothing feels better than financial independence." She didn't even tag me. Every time I helped, they erased where it came from. Every time I kept quiet, they rewrote the story like they'd built the whole thing themselves. I can still hear my mom's voice when I offered to co-sign on their refinance. "You're the only one we can count on," she told me. She said it like it was a compliment. But it wasn't. It was a sentence. And now this, clearing out my safe, was the final footnote. I wasn't a son. I was just the backup plan. The silent support beam no one saw. Every memory suddenly had sharp edges. Christmas Eve, they gave my seat to a neighbor. "You'll be fine in the kitchen." The anniversary dinner? Toasts went out to those who actually matter. Backyard remodel? $12,400, written off with a single text, "Don't be dramatic." Sister's RSVP cards? My address listed as the return. Her wedding? Charged to my credit line. Then the voicemail from Dad, "Maybe it's better if you don't come anymore." None of these were isolated incidents. They were data points. I kept the system running. They just collected the returns. And what scared me most? They didn't even bother to hide it anymore. They'd gotten so used to using me, they stopped pretending I was part of the family. And yet, some small part of me still wished they'd stop, before it went too far. Not for an apology. All I really wanted was a flicker of hesitation. Just one moment, one tiny pause, where they realized they'd crossed a serious line. But it never came. Not from her. Not from him. Not from anyone. So I made a choice. No more dragging old memories around. No more tracing the same patterns. No more smiling while they slowly chipped away at me under the guise of kindness. I was done being their utility. I wasn't about to yell. I wasn't going to try and explain it to people who'd already decided I was just a resource. I was just going to move forward and leave them to finally feel the absence of what they'd always assumed would be there. That night, after my sister called in a panic, I didn't fight. I didn't argue. I didn't chase what they took. Instead, I started taking myself back. Those emails I sent after hanging up, they weren't rash. They were surgical. Like I'd been quietly drafting the steps in my head for years, without even knowing it. The first one went straight to my lawyer. Get the disassociation paperwork started. Take my name off every joint account. Begin the asset protection process immediately. The next went to my financial advisor. Move all liquid holdings into a private trust. Keep it airtight, immediate family not included. Then my accountant. I asked for a full audit. Every family-related payment from the last 5 years. Track them. Flag anything shady. Get the receipts in order. This wasn't about payback. This was about reclaiming the framework I'd built. By midnight, I was logged into the back end of the small tech company I'd spent years building from the ground up. The same company that, without credit or thanks, was quietly running my parents' home security, their cloud backups, their phones, even their accounting software. All of it under my company's umbrella. Free of charge. Never once acknowledged. First thing I did was shut off their cloud cameras. Then I disabled the smart locks. After that, the thermostat, the same one they loved to brag about when guests came over. I adjusted the DNS settings on their network so they couldn't access anything remotely. No more free Wi-Fi. No more me fixing their tech when the printer wouldn't work. Then I turned to the family phone plan. There were 5 lines. Mine, theirs, my sister's. I didn't cancel them. I simply transferred the whole plan into their name. If they didn't accept the ownership within 72 hours, the lines would be suspended, and they'd be the ones stuck with the bill. No more free calls. No more me footing the cost of their ability to stay connected. Then I remembered the streaming services. All those subscriptions I'd been quietly covering? I pulled out. Let them figure it out on their own. It was a small thing, but I knew it'd hit. Because even the smallest cracks sting when you're not used to feeling them. By the time the sun came up, the messages started rolling in. My sister, why are the security cameras down? I can't access anything. My dad, the mortgage company called. What did you do? My mom, you're not seriously going through with this, are you? I didn't respond to a single one. They weren't reaching out, They were demanding that I turn the system back on. But I was the system, and I had logged out. By noon, the calls started. I ignored them. I waited until the little voicemail icon popped up. It was my dad's voice. "Let's resolve this calmly," he said. "Let's talk like adults." I actually laughed when I heard it. That line, "talk like adults," he always trotted it out after letting the worst stuff happen without lifting a finger. After standing by while I got robbed. Silenced. Forgotten. By that evening, my sister messaged again. "Netflix isn't working. Fix it." I replied, "You said you didn't need me." No emojis. No punctuation. Just the truth. But I wasn't finished. I logged back into the back end of their accounting firm's IT system. They had no idea I still had admin access. They assumed I'd set it up years ago out of family loyalty and then moved on. What they didn't know was that I'd been maintaining their firewall, software licenses, and encrypted backups the entire time, on my dime. The domain was in my name. The licenses were under my business. So I deactivated their software. Then I sent a message through the admin portal. Effective immediately, I am no longer providing pro bono IT maintenance. Please contact your new provider to continue service. Then I logged out. And waited. About half an hour later, the voicemails started doubling. And by the next morning, my uncle's clinic, which also ran off my company's old infrastructure, called me in a panic. The whole system was down. They couldn't access patient files. Couldn't run billing. Everything their office relied on had been quietly supported by me all this time. And no, I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't crash their systems. I just took away the quiet support. Without me, the digital scaffolding fell apart. Because they never learned how to build one themselves. That afternoon, my cousin Ellie messaged. "Did you really pull everything?" I answered, "I pulled me." The rest? That collapsed on its own. She didn't argue. She just called. It was the first time we'd talked in over a year. She told me what I already suspected, that my parents were spinning the whole thing, telling everyone I'd lost it, that I was jealous, unstable, acting out. Classic stuff. But this time, Ellie didn't fall for it. And she wasn't the only one. I sent the actual records to the few relatives who still mattered. Not out of bitterness. Just for clarity. No commentary. Just the facts. Audit logs. Payment records. Screenshots of my name all over the system architecture. I added a simple note. "I just want you to know the truth. No need to respond." That night, Dad texted again. "You've made your point. That's enough now." But this wasn't about making a point. This was about shutting the door on a cycle. So I took one more step. I revoked access to the family storage unit. The one I'd been paying for the last 3 years. The one that held Dad's vintage tools. All the holiday decorations they loved to display. Lease canceled. Locks changed. Then I picked up the phone and called the mortgage company. I removed myself as a co-signer on their refinance. The woman on the phone paused. "You realize this could trigger a foreclosure review, right?" she asked, her voice careful. I told her I understood. I confirmed the removal anyway. 3 hours later, my mom texted. The mortgage company called. "Fix this." That word again, fix. They always used it like I was the family mechanic. I didn't respond. Instead, I transferred the last of the funds from the shared emergency account into a new trust. One only I could access. It was locked down. Secured. No one else had the key now. Then came the flood of messages. My sister, "You're overreacting." My mom, "Family is all you have." I stared at that one a while. Then typed, "I had a family." And hit send. I'm not in it anymore. I powered my phone off after that. The next day, I was back on the phone with my lawyer. I asked him to start the legal process of cutting ties with every business entity I'd ever shared with them. I didn't want even a fingerprint left behind. No lingering liability. I didn't want to be attached to the wreckage they were pretending wasn't already burning. My lawyer, always calm and thorough, asked, "Would you like to send them an official notice of separation?" I said no. Let them feel the void. Let them sit in the silence they'd forced me into for years. Let them live without the scaffolding they never noticed, until it disappeared. No more backup. No more forgotten passwords. No more invisible net catching every fall. And for the first time, I didn't feel bad about it. I wasn't ashamed for walking away. I wasn't sorry for letting their support system collapse. And I sure as hell didn't feel guilty for stepping out from under the weight they'd quietly piled on my back for decades. They didn't lose their son that day. They lost the infrastructure. And I had no plans to rebuild it. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Not a dozen times, hundreds. Missed calls. Voicemails. Texts stacked one after another. All from the same people I'd grown up calling family. They were in full-blown panic. And every message felt like a shot fired. Mom's text came in all caps, no punctuation. What have you done? We're suffering. Please fix this before it gets worse. Dad left a voicemail that played like a rant. You ungrateful. After everything we did, this is how you repay us? Hope it was worth it. He even left the message on repeat. Then came a group chat from my sister to the rest of the family. He's acting irrational. He's pulled support. Don't trust him. The message was tagged as urgent. 12 blue check marks lit up under it. They really believed that if they screamed loud enough, someone would fold. But I'd learned that silence says more than a shouting match ever could. And I'd mastered that language. That morning, the wave kept coming. One from my sister, stop this or I'll go public with private info. Legal threats followed. Lawyers representing my parents started demanding I undo the service shutdowns and revoke the trust transfers. Then came the guilt bombs. Your nieces are scared. We're in trouble. We need the house back. I expected all of it. Scripted. Predictable. Like clockwork. But underneath every one of those messages was the same thing. Fear. Fear of accountability. Fear of losing the system they'd quietly built on me. I didn't answer. Didn't defend myself. Just watched. An hour later, my lawyer forwarded me an official cease and desist. It came from my sister's attorney. It warned that if I didn't restore services immediately, they'd seek injunctive relief and pursue additional legal action. My lawyer, cool as ever, replied. They're welcome to file. Let's see if they actually do. He added, your actions were documented, lawful, and entirely justified. I leaned back in my chair, heart steady. The storm had started. But every storm eventually runs out of thunder. By early afternoon, they started recruiting allies. Uncle Chris, the family's banker friend, messaged me. You know legal fees could ruin them. Think it through. And Jenna? She fired off a vague Facebook post about family values and how some people just turn toxic. Subtle. Passive-aggressive. Completely transparent. They were all clearly rattled. Playing the victims. Closing ranks. But I'd already anticipated it. And I'd already acted. I uploaded a full, time-stamped archive of the audit logs and communications. Everything. Every transaction. Every flagged account. Every backup thread. All stored in a private legal Dropbox, with access granted only to a neutral third-party lawyer in case things escalated. No spin. Just the truth. Then came the whispers. Not the press, nothing formal. But gossip spreads faster than headlines. Acquaintances started calling, trying to get the full story. Friends told me they'd received forwarded screenshots from our family chats. My world, suddenly, was their theater. That evening, the chaos hit its peak. Mom's attorney sent an email demanding an injunction, emergency compliance, and financial compensation. Dad followed up with a letter packed with formal language. Claims of emotional distress. Damage to their reputation. Breach of trust. They twisted it all, wrapped it in soft words. We did this to help your sister. We never wanted to hurt you. The usual spin. Their version, we gave the money. My response, they broke into my safe. Took it. Cut me out. Then blamed me for pushing back. I scrolled through the inbox filled with their demands. Then I forwarded everything to my lawyer and replied to the family in one clean note. Under review. My next steps will follow legal counsel. Until then, my decision stands. The system is offline. The trust is revoked. No signature. No friendly tone. No soft edges left to smooth over. Later that night, my sister texted again. If you really cared about this family, you wouldn't hide behind legal stuff. You'd just give it back. I paused for a second. Then I typed. I gave everything. You took it. Twice. Then I hit send. And let the silence speak. It wasn't the heavy, threatening silence that lingers before a fight. It was the total, echoing emptiness where connection used to live. Their voices faded into thin air. Their systems sat lifeless, untouched. Their walls began to crack. But more than that, they knew I wasn't coming back to play by the rules they'd made up without even asking me. Christmas lights stayed tucked away in the basement. Cameras stayed off. Shared drives locked tight. I checked my phone. No calls. No messages. No desperate pleas left unread. Because at the heart of all this wasn't just silence, it was anger. It was consequence. They built a system. I pulled it apart. And now they had to deal with the mess. Without a clue how to build a new one. Without me. One afternoon, they showed up at my door. All three of them. My sister. They stood there on the porch like grief had dressed them up. Not like they'd come to fight. Not like they'd come to apologize. Just polished. Practiced. Maya opened the door. She didn't invite them inside. She just said, "You can stand there." I stayed seated. I could hear my mom's voice breaking before she even spoke. "We didn't come to fight. We just want to talk." Maya stepped aside and let the words hang in the room, thick and smoky, like the ashes left after a fire had already burned the house down. I looked up. Finally stood. Dad went first. "You look tired, son." I didn't say a word. Mom took over, shaky but rehearsed. "We made mistakes. It was never meant to go this far. You cut everything off. It didn't have to be so final." Then she said it. The line they'd all been working toward. "We need you." Not, "We miss you." Not, "We're sorry." Just, "need." Like I was still a utility. A feature. Something to fix when broken. I stepped forward, Maya still by my side. "You don't need me. You need what I gave you. And that's gone." Dad's voice hardened. "This family falls apart without you." "That's not a family," I said. "That's a business model." My sister stepped up, angry now. "So you're just going to throw everything away? Over what? One bad night?" I laughed. Cold. This wasn't one night. This was 20 years. You treated me like a backup. Like infrastructure. Like a fuse you thought you could always reset. But the power's cut. Mom's voice cracked, real tears breaking through. "We didn't mean to hurt you. We were overwhelmed. We didn't know how much you did." I stared at her. That line, "we didn't know," hit me like a slap. You didn't ask. Because you didn't care. It worked. That was enough. Dad tried again, quieter now. "You're our son. We raised you. You owe us some humanity." "No," I said. "You raised me to believe I owed you everything. You spent it. It's gone." Silence. The wind picked up, cold and sharp, just like the truth. I took a step closer so they'd hear every word. I didn't walk away because of money. I walked away because you never saw me. Only what I could provide. I looked at my sister last. You didn't just lose the perks. You lost connection. Then I looked at all of them. You weren't cruel. You just didn't see me. And I'm done paying the price for it. Maya closed the door slowly behind them. They didn't knock again. I stood in the silence. And for the first time, it didn't feel empty. It felt clean. Final. They didn't cry when they left. They didn't beg. They just stood there, stunned, because they finally realized the one thing they never expected. That I could leave. That I wouldn't come back. That I meant it. And they were right.